Hey, fourth graders. So for this lesson today, we're going to be talking about adding fractions with denominators of 10 and 100. This is still an intro to decimals because it's really important that we understand that decimals represent the same things fractions do, parts of a whole. So here we have, if you remember from Monday, we have a whole, and our whole is broken up into 100 equal pieces, which we call hundredths. So for example, the fraction 1/100ths can be represented by this picture. Again, the whole is broken up into 100 equal pieces and one of them is shaded. For this picture, if you notice, we have our whole again. Know it's broken up into 100 pieces and we have 4 of them that are shaded. So this picture represents the fraction 4/100ths. We also talked about how we can think of fraction as in tenths or hundredths. So this, if you have the whole number here, and it's broken up in 100 equal pieces, and we know that 30 of them are shaded, so we can say this is 30 hundredths. But there's another way that we can say this fraction. We can call this 3/10ths, and the reason is because we have 10 columns that make up the whole, and 3 of those columns are shaded. So we would say 3/10ths is equivalent to 30/100ths. Again, to change 3/10ths into 30/100ths, so we simply multiply the numerator and denominator both by 10. For today's lesson, we're going to be doing something different. It still will help us understand decimals. We're going to talk about what we do when we add tenths and hundredths. So this problem says 3/10ths plus 5/100ths. Most students would think, okay, well, I just add the numerators. So 3 plus 5 is 8, so the answer would be 8/100ths. But this is incorrect. Because if you notice, what do you notice about these two fractions? Well, you notice that they have different denominators. And if they have different denominators, we cannot add the numerator. So we need to change one of these fractions and make it like the other one. So they both have the same denominator. So for example, 3/10ths. Well, we know how to represent 3/10ths in a different way. So if you look over here, we have 3/10ths. This can be represented as 30/100ths is also 3/10ths because we have 10 columns and 3 of them are shaded. So 3/10ths can be changed to 30/100ths. Now, since we have 30/100ths, well, that matches the 5/100ths. So I have two fractions that I now can add because they have the same denominator. So if you will notice that I shaded the 5/100ths a different color. This is a good visual to help you see the two fractions being added. Again, this is 3/10ths, which we are now calling 30/100ths, and then we had 5/100ths. If you count how many total are shaded, you'll get 35/100ths. Let's try another one. Here we have 5/10ths plus 48/100ths. We cannot add the numerators because if you look at the denominators, they're not the same. So we need to convert the 5/10ths to make it have a denominator of hundredth. And how we do that is we multiply the numerator and denominator both by 10 and we'll get 50/100ths. So let's look at this picture to show this thinking. So everything shaded in green, we can think of this as 5/10ths because 5 of the columns out of the 10 are shaded. But we can also think about this as 50/100ths, which is what we want to do. We want to get that denominator 100. This yellow portion represents the 48/100ths because we notice that 2 are missing. So now that we have 50/100ths and 48/100ths, they both have the same denominator. So when we add them, we get 98/100ths.